Hi, team. This is Patty. I'm here to talk to you about a new initiative that I'm unrolling with the Laboratory Assistants team called the Rules of Engagement. So I hope that you will enjoy this short video, and let me go ahead and share my screen here so that you can see the display. All right, hopefully you can see that now. Let me make it full screen. There we go. All right. So here's some things that I've learned over the years. I used this in the last team that I worked with. When I started with that team, the phlebotomy group was, well, there's no other way to describe it except it was very, very toxic. And certainly we don't have that at North Kansas City, which I'm very grateful for. But I learned early on with that particular team that I'd like to put together some kind of expectations on what teamwork is. And so I came up with the rules of engagement. And even though our team is not at all in the poor shape of my previous laboratory, it is just kind of a nice reset and some examples of how I would like us all to be able to work together as a team. So the first rule, so to speak, is I will always do my best. And what's the great thing about that is that this is a commitment that each one of us makes. So this document, at some point in time, we're going to be reviewing it right now. I'm just asking for you guys to consider this, provide any concerns or questions you might have to Susan or myself. But at some point, we will be signing these kind of as a commitment for teamwork. And as we go through this, when each individuals do sign as a commitment that they will always do my best, you know that, hey, if you get a little frustrated with somebody and they've committed to doing their best, maybe they're not doing their best at that point. And that is your opportunity as a teammate to go up and ask them if they're doing okay. I truly believe that everybody wants to do their best every day. I can't imagine that somebody wakes up in the morning and says, I really want to make Susan miserable today. No, that's not what we do. We really do want to strive to do our best every day, but stuff gets in the way, right? There's obstacles. Maybe we've had a setback at home. There's all kinds of things that can get in our way from doing our best. That's why as a team, and we care about each other, if we get frustrated with another person, we can ask them if they need some of our help. The second one is I was always treat others with kindness and respect. We learned that early on in childhood, didn't we? Because that is the basis of all human relationships. That's the basis of all our friendships, of our family. We have to be able to treat each other with kindness and respect because we believe that we deserve that kind of treatment ourselves. So again, making this kind of a commitment for teamwork, if we all commit to this, I do believe that it will elevate all of us and make us more aware of how we're treating each other. I will keep the patient at the center of all of my decisions and actions. You can't always have supervisors there. You're in front of a patient right at the bedside. Things are going to happen. Nurses are going to say some things. Sometimes you're going to be interacting with other healthcare people or even in the department. And as long as you're keeping the patient at the center of your decision and action, you'll be always doing the right thing. For example, if you're treating them with kindness and respect and something happens, a nurse comes in and maybe says something inappropriately, just leave it alone. Make sure that you're not creating any more frustration in front of the patient. If necessary, speak with that nurse when you leave the patient room, but most certainly bring any of those concerns to Susan or myself because we do want everybody at North Kansas City Hospital to treat each other with kindness and respect. And, keeping the patient at the center of your decisions, is you've worked with the patients. Sometimes they're crabby. They don't feel well. They're going to say some things. As long as you're remembering that you're always taking care of that patient, you're going to be treating them very, very well. Next one is I will commit to excellence and working well within my team. What does that mean? It means that we put our team first. So we're here to help each other. We're here to make sure that we're each doing our best. And we're treating our patients in a manner that we all want to be treated ourselves. Think about that as, we've all had loved ones, or maybe you yourself have been in the hospital. You want to make sure that you're getting the best care, that your loved ones are getting the best care. So those families, those patients depend on us to do that well. And we can't do that without the support of our team. And that means that, if you have a little bit of downtime, you've already had your break, but you see somebody else drowning on a different floor, then work through your coordinator and see how you can help one of your teammates and make sure that everybody has a great day. The number 5, this is a big one. I will not talk about others behind their backs. I will bring my concerns to leadership. We all have those days where we just need to vent to a friend. We need to, express some of our frustrations. But if you're talking amongst your teamwork, does anything really change? No. You're going to have to talk to either Susan, your coordinator, or myself. If there's things that you want to see changed, I am all ears. I would love any opportunity to make everybody's day a great one, a place that everybody wants to come to work. If you haven't heard my story before about BMWs, everybody loves a brand new black shiny BMW, especially on a beautiful day when you could take that top down and you're cruising around and you pull up and, oh my gosh, here's a friend that just loves that too, wants to jump in your BMW and you drive through. Next time you're bringing in somebody else and pretty soon you've got a full BMW and you're driving around. Oh my gosh, everybody loves that. Well, what's a BMW? Pardon my language, but that's bitching, moaning, and whining. So our brains are hardwired for that negativity. In fact, it's been scientifically proven that 14-to-1, our brains will always gravitate to the negative impact. And, there's a lot of science behind that. Our brains, we have this primitive part of our brain, the amygdala, at the base of our brainstem. And that's where all of our senses, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, lights up this part of our brain first. And while that was absolutely essential to survival when we were primitive and cave people, we needed to know if we had to fight, flight, or freeze. If a saber-toothed tiger was chasing us, we had to have those immediate reactions. Our brain still, after thousands of years of evolution, is still hardwired for that immediate negativity. But we are evolved. We are more mature. We're adult human beings. So it sometimes really takes that pause to say, I'm not going to feed into that negative. I'm going to instead always think of the positive. So that's what happens, when people are talking about people behind their backs, or somebody's grumpy and they're, always talking about the negative. Our brains will automatically feed into that. We love that negativity, but we have to remind ourselves as mature and professional adults that we can make a better choice. We can make a positive choice. So it's so important not to talk about people behind their backs, because it just drags the whole team down. That's really the definition of a toxic environment. When I walked into my previous lab, they were all sniping. They had terrible things to say about each other, and it was not a happy environment. It's just something that leads to, a culture that nobody wants to be around, people that nobody enjoys working with. And we don't want that at North Kansas City Hospital. I don't think we have a lot of that. We have some of it, but there's always an opportunity to improve. Which leads me into the next one. I will not engage with someone who's talking behind someone's back. I coached my previous team. If somebody comes in or drives up in their BMW, you can say 2 things. And those 2 things are, you know what, Susan, I can tell that you're really upset. Have you taken those concerns to Patty? Or, Patty, I can tell you're really upset. Have you worked through that yet? Anyway, we have this tendency to empathetically feed into that. Save your empathy for our patients. Save that thought process to really care for our patients. When it comes to the negativity in the workplace, you want to provide that information to somebody that can really make an impact, which would be your leadership. They can affect change. No one else can. So number 7, I will not use professional time for personal matters. That's, we all have to step away and take a phone call from our loved one, or, have to, check a message here or there. But using that throughout the day when you really should be paying attention to our patients or helping your teammates is not acceptable. North Kansas City Hospital is paying us to take care of our patients. If we didn't have patients, we wouldn't have jobs. So we need to take really good care of them. As I have walked around the last 3 months, I've noticed people on their phones for quite some time. It's okay for a break, but when 30-minute lunches turn into 45, an hour, sometimes 2 hours, I've seen people sitting. That's not okay. Sleeping on the job. If you are tired because you've worked night shift, I get it. I used to work night shift too. Stand up, walk around, keep yourself busy. That way you won't be sleeping. And most facilities, do not take kindly to that. Sometimes it's an automatic termination. I don't think they're that strict here at North Kansas City Hospital, but just keep that in mind. It's not something you can do. I've seen novels at different areas within the lab. Number 1, that's an infection control issue. Oh, gross, if you've got a novel sitting there next to blood or urine or any other biological sample, you're taking that home with you. You're touching it with your hands. Same way with your phone. I don't know if any of you are parents, but if you're allowing your kids to play with your phone and you've had your phone at work, I hope you're disinfecting that before you go home. Anyway, it's important to keep your work environment safe, you safe, and then anything that you take home, you want to make sure that that's safe for your family as well. Number 8, I know that I'm an important part of the whole. What I do and say matters. Oh my goodness, you guys as phlebotomy and specimen collectors to our patients are the most important part of the team, and many reasons for that. The first one, of course, is I can have, the most state-of-the-art laboratory equipment and the most highly trained scientists in the universe. But if you guys aren't getting that sample, that blood culture collected in a aseptic environment, or, contamination with line fluid, or if that sample is not good, nothing can produce a good result for that patient. So that's why you're so important. Those time studies, getting them drawn on time, has a tremendous impact on patient care. And then secondly, you are directly involved with the patients. So when they fill out that patient satisfaction, they're thinking about their interaction with you during specimen collection. So you always want to be cheerful, even though they're not. You always want to take excellent care of them and then work with their nurses as much as possible if any kind of events occur. For example, if you go in and sometimes those patients are just really difficult to work with, immediately turn around and get that patient's nurse to help you. Quite often, just having another individual in the room can make all the difference in the world. So make sure that you have that support with some of those special patients. What you do and say matters. We're in a team. So again, going back to treating each other with kindness and respect, and not talking about people behind their back, it makes a big difference in how everybody wants to work within the team. And it impacts our patient care that way. So next one, the goal is more important than the role. We are a team. So what do I mean by role? Well, I'm your director, so I've got a different role than Susan as your supervisor, or the scientist, even the nurses, the physicians within the hospital. Everybody has a different role. But that doesn't mean that we can't care for each other and hold each other accountable. So if you see that something isn't going right, or you observe a nurse not treating a patient well, those things have to be discussed and they have to be brought to your leadership. And as I mentioned, I have a different role, but I'm new here. If I screw up, I certainly want somebody to let me know that, hey, did you really mean to say it that way? Because it kind of came out, I don't know, made us feel bad. I never want to make anybody feel bad. And we all sometimes choose our words in a way that might create understanding or misunderstanding. So again, pointing out how I can do things differently. And of course, as leadership, sometimes we'll be meeting with you to point out things that can be done differently. And all of that is done because we care. We would want to make sure to help everybody be successful. We're invested in your success. So if we sit you down and say, here's some things that I think you can improve upon, that's a good thing. Because we want you to grow, we want you to stay, we want you to be here and be the best employee to take care of our patients in the best way possible. So if the goal is more important than the role, what is the goal? Well, the goal is providing the best care for our patients and helping each other be successful. Again, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our patients. And if we don't treat our patients well, or they don't have good outcomes because of errors or something like that, then they won't come back to North Kansas City Hospital. And then again, if we don't have a good census, then, there's things that might have to happen with our staffing patterns. But instead, we're going to treat our patients well. We're going to treat our teammates well. Everybody's going to enjoy coming to work, and it's going to make a big difference. That's the way we help each other be successful, is having open and honest communications, helping your leadership understand where things can be improved. And I put a nice little graphic on here, some things that you can control and some things that you can't. I think it's just nice to review. I think Clarice has this in her customer satisfaction presentation that she does. But really, the only things that we can control is us, our own stuff, right? We can control our attitude, our effort, our behavior, and our actions. And if we have a conscious awareness of how well we're doing with that and doing the best that we can and treating everyone well, we can't control some of those things around us. What other people are doing, don't worry about that. Other people's opinion, who cares? You're doing a good job. Other people's feelings, well, it is important to understand if somebody is getting their feelings hurts, why? Did you potentially say something that you didn't mean? An apology and asking them if they're okay goes a long way to, building those relationships. And then if other people are making mistakes, please, either coach them in the moment. Hey, I thought we were supposed to do it this way, and get an understanding, or, take that to your supervisor or the coordinator so we can help that person step up and, be successful as well. So any questions or concerns, please come to me, come to Susan. This is just something that we're rolling out currently with the laboratory assistants team. It would be my goal to have the entire team, including the scientists as well as the coordinators. Of course, the supervisors are all going to be on board, but it is kind of a nice way for us to all understand that we are each an important part of the whole, and that we're definitely here to take care of our patients. So thank you for your attention. If you do have any questions or concerns, please let me know as soon as possible. I'd love to get a better understanding of what you think of these items, kind of the rules of engagement, and I will look forward to discussing it with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.